Beyond money, a society built on contribution. The measure of value in any society determines its shape. For centuries, money has been the standard by which we assess worth. It dictates access, defines opportunity, and reduces human relations to transactions. We think of wealth in terms of accumulation, of resources stored rather than acts performed. But what if another measure took precedence? What if social capital, the esteem and goodwill earned through service to others, became the currency upon which society operated? To consider this possibility is to recognize that money, for all its utility, is an abstraction. It is not value itself, but rather a symbol of value, one that can be hoarded without action and used without virtue. The person who speculates on misery of others may become rich, while the one who labors in kindness may remain destitute. Money does not discern between these two. It merely obeys the rules of accumulation. It allows the idle to flourish and the generous to struggle. But if social capital were our measure, then worth would no longer be tied to possession. Instead, it would be determined by what one gives, rather than what one holds. Under such a system, influence would not be bought, but earned. Prestige would follow those who contribute rather than those who extract. A doctor who heals the sick without concern for personal enrichment would rise above the speculator who turns necessity into scarcity. A teacher, pouring knowledge into eager minds, would have greater standing than the landlord who profits from withholding shelter. No one would be impoverished for choosing the good. Rather, the good would be the path to prosperity. One might object that such a system could not function, that it would collapse under the weight of human self-interest. But even under our current structure, self-interest is not absent. People seek social capital even in a world where it does not convert to material security. We see this in the longing for recognition, the desire for admiration, the impulse to be seen as virtuous. These tendencies are already present. They are simply displaced, often leading to empty gestures and performances of goodness rather than acts of genuine care. If social capital became the dominant measure, the incentives would shift. Rather than the hollow pursuit of approval, people would pursue what actually earns them the respect and gratitude of others. Deeds that improve lives. Of course, such a world would not be free of problems. Power always finds ways to consolidate itself, and there would be those who sought to game the system. The performance of virtue might be mistaken for virtue itself, and networks of influence could still form hierarchies. But the essential distinction is this: whereas money allows power to detach from contribution, social capital would require that power remain tied to service. It would not be possible to acquire it through inheritance, coercion, or speculation. It could not be stored up in a vault, passed down to one's descendants, or wielded by those who contribute nothing. Its only source would be action. Such a world would not abolish struggle, but it would reorder it. No longer would the question be how to extract from others, but how to give in such a way that one's own standing increases. It would make generosity a rational choice rather than an indulgence. It would redefine ambition, not as the pursuit of wealth, but as the pursuit of honor earned through acts of substance. Some might call this vision utopian, but utopia is not the absence of imperfection. It is simply a world structured around different imperfections. No system will eliminate human frailty, but we can decide which weaknesses we reward and which we discourage. Today, we reward greed and cunning. What would it look like to reward kindness and wisdom instead? The shift would not be immediate, nor would it be simple. It would require a slow reconditioning, a gradual transformation of what we admire, what we aspire to, and what we believe a life well lived consists of. It would mean teaching children not that success is measured by accumulation, but by contribution. It would mean reshaping institutions to honor those who build rather than those who exploit. It would mean rethinking our entire relationship to value itself. A world where social capital reigns is not an impossible dream. It is simply a matter of deciding that the highest form of wealth is not what one possesses, but what one gives away. So join us in making the world a better place. You'll be glad that you did. Cheers, friends.